Okay, welcome back to Bounce Around Charleston. We're here talking to Palmer Williams Jr., Tyler Perry's House of Pain, sharing his passion about acting. But in this segment, we're going to talk about his passion about the HBCUs, historical Black colleges and universities. Welcome back, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Williams. Now let's talk about our alma mater,
Come on, sir.
Knoxville College. Let
Yes,
there
sir.
be light. What is your passion all about?
My mother and father graduated from Knoxville College, and that's where they met. My father actually returned from World War II, and before he left, he told my mother, "If I'm back in one piece, I'll marry you." And he kept that promise. He came back in one piece, and she married him. He also pledged the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity
What you
incorporated.
say? What you
Yes,
say?
Beta Phi chapter. We talked
What
about
you
it in
say?
1948. So that's like right when the birth of our chapter, which me and Reverend Miller are both esteemed members of. And
Yes, sir.
yes, and my father then moved to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and that's where he started family and had my first sister. Unfortunately, my mother had lost a few babies before my sister was born. And so it was, she was extremely spoiled, I'm sure. And what happened is that 11 months later, they had my sister, Darlene. First was Janice, then Darlene, which our grandmother's name was Dolly. So she named her Dolly. And then, there was a big span of time. And then I was born 14 years later. So it was, I was what they would call an overplanned oops baby. And so I basically was birthed out of this union at Knoxville College. My aunt's also a graduate, my cousin Virgil Rhodes, my aunt Ruth B. Collins, Bonner at the time. And my Bonner family came from, Alabama. And then my dad's family came from Georgia. And so that HBCU brought so many different people from so many different places. And my mother's side of the family, the Bonners, are actually from Charleston, South Carolina. So that's the
Wow.
thing that's another reason why I want to come and visit there, because I want to visit the museums and bring the old man Bonner's will with me, because he actually sent away 2 of the slaves after he passed away, because they were not to be inherited by his son, because he sold the 2 ungovernable Negroes. And they moved to Alabama. That was my great-great-grandparents from Charleston, South Carolina. So I have a connect there that I plan to explore. And I'm sure there's a story or a movie that needs to come out of there. So y'all get ready. We're going to do some casting. We need some financiers to go ahead and finance that movie for the Bonner family. But
Well,
my HBCU just brought all that together.
well, we had a bishop in the AME church. His last name.
Isaiah Hamilton Bonner.
Yeah, that was your. Yeah.
How about that? Why do I
Well,
know that?
okay. Well, his wife came out of the church that my father pastored.
So they dedicated a plot of land in Mississippi of 52 acres that they named in his honor. So why do I know that? Because the daughter of the bishop, Miss Alpha Tyler, Bishop Tyler over in Mississippi, female bishop that retired, dedicated that land to him. And Alpha Tyler was the casting director that casted me into House of Pain the very first time.
Wow.
And because I was in Knoxville College choir, I went to a church, and I was singing a solo with the Knoxville College choir. And the pastor, who had graduated from Vanderbilt, was a Presbyterian church that was kind of progressive, more so on a Baptist Pentecostal kind of vibe. And they were honoring Isaiah Hamilton Bonner the day I was there, and come to find out that that's a distant relative.
Wow. Well, tell me, what do you want to convey to our listeners about supporting the HBCUs?
HBCUs are so necessary, because there are a lot of people that, if they were not able to develop and nurture their gifts and talents that they've been given at some place where they otherwise wouldn't get a chance anywhere else, and HBCU is that place that you need for them. If you want to kill a crime rate, keep your HBCUs open. If you want to develop a way in which we can eliminate poverty, keep your HBCUs open. If you want to get to a point where you develop the family and the family structure and keeping people and informative and to move us as we progress in these different centuries, keep your HBCUs open. Sometimes a lot of people don't even give an opportunity to get an education unless they come to some of the creative ways in which we can find finances to get people into HBCUs. My school has fallen by the wayside because of people maybe withdrawn from the college and not thinking that is as important as it really is. And then there have been some people in the past that may have done some things that were corrupt and took away from this very vulnerable institution. But this is a new day now. The people that I used to laugh about that were alumni, well, I've become that alumni. I've become that older alumni. And I'm very passionate about saving my mother and father's school, as well as my own school, as well as Reverend Miller's school. So I've taken it upon myself to do some philanthropic type things and to raise awareness of Knoxville College, even with some of the productions that I'm going to be producing. I'll be wearing Knoxville College paraphernalia, instituting it into the actual storyline. So that way I can bring awareness so that when God does grant the studio or the network that's going to pick up that show, Knoxville College will bring, I will bring awareness to it. And then we will make sure that the light upon the hill is never extinguished.
Palmer Williams Jr.
Yes, sir.
Bounce Around Charleston says, thank you for being on the show today, talking about your career with Tyler Perry's House of Pain and all of the other acting that you have done and will continue to do. But also thank you for your passion about the HBCUs and what we should be doing to keep them alive. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you. And I look forward to eventually coming to your church and saying hi to all of my cousins.
Okay, yeah, you will do that. Thank you, sir. All right, you heard it right here on Bounce Around Charleston. Palmer Williams Jr. We'll be right back after this break.